Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today I'm coming at you guys with a Callisto guide. Lately on a different account of mine, I've been doing a lot of bossing in a series, and so basically every week I'm like choosing a boss. After I get done with that boss, I'll do a guide on it. Today we have Callisto, and all this gear and inventory here may look fun, but first we gotta get into the requirements. So there's really two ways that you can go about killing Callisto. The first one is melee, and the second is range. Range is one that I would offer to kind of med levels that are trying to get a start at med level PvMing. And melee is probably the better option, especially if you have some really high melee stats. So the requirements for melee, I mean the bare minimums are base 70s just so you can equip this gear and use the stuff. I would really recommend like 85 strength and attack, or maybe even 80s, just so you can actually get decent kills per hour and start to really make money that's going to be worth it out here. As far as if you're using range, I would say 80 plus is going to be useful. That's not necessarily what you need for the gear, but if you don't have that, you're not going to hit enough. So some decently high requirements, but the range method's kind of nice because you only have to train one stat as opposed to like 3 for melee, of course. So those are the requirements. As far as what you can expect from Callisto, the main reason people come here is the loot, of course, and the best part of that being the dragon pickaxe. That is a 1 in 171 drop rate. Mine seems to be like a 1 in 90, and I've been enjoying that greatly. Another reason people would come here is for elite clues. They are 1 in 50 if you're using a Ring of Wealth eye, and those are useful for masters. So if you're a clue hunter, really nice to come out here and get some of those. And pet hunters as well, 1 in 2 KKC drop rate for the Callisto Cub. As far as the kills per hour, this is kind of estimate, of course, 10 probably being the lowest I would even want to come out here doing. And 20 to 25 is probably doable if you're near max, and you can even up that more if you bring an alt account and start luring and attacking with alts, but I'm not going to make guides with like crazy meta. The GP per hour, this isn't pure profit, but it's 1 to 2 mil in, as far as what you're going to get from Callisto. Of course, there's going to be a couple 100k that you got to spend per hour, whether that's, you know, your ammo, your Vigorous Chain Mace, prayer potions, just tons of stuff. Then as far as the gear on the left side, we have melee. It's a pretty good melee setup. The reason I have like the best in slot melee setup is because melee is going to be the best method for killing this boss going forward. So if you want to absolutely do it the best possible way, melee is going to be the way. You can substitute in glories or furies for the torture, of course. And an already cloak is going to be the cape that you want to come with because you don't have to risk anything really since it's untradeable, and you get the stab bonus, which is more useful here. I have a Vigorous Chain Mace. If you're an Iron Man, maybe you bring Varak, but I mean, for a main account, Vigorous Chain Mace is very cheap nowadays, so very doable. Charge that up with about 1500 ether. And then I have Barrow's Gloves, Ring of Wealth Eye, and Dragon Boots. Now, Dragon Boots are where a lot of this risk comes from. You can see the total value of lost items upon death. It's like 700k with this setup. If you switch to D Boots, it's only like 300k, so. And then the inventory is just potions, a bow for luring, and a teleportation method away to there, and some gear to get away. I have a Din's Bulwark and some Black D'hide, which is useful for getting away from PKers. For the range setup, we have basically what's just your average kind of range rune crossbow setup. Ruby E bolts because of the chance of just hitting very high with them. That's what's kind of useful, and that's why ranging at a med level isn't too bad. I have a Book of Law, an Ava's Accumulator, Barrow's Gloves again, Snakeskin Boots, and a Ring of Wealth Eye. I also have Diamond E bolts so you can switch to halfway through the kill, and then potions and teleports in the inventory as well with looting bags in both. And let it also be known, I have a Seed Pod for teleportation. That's gotten after the Monkey Madness 2 quest. If you don't have that, a Glory or anything that can teleport you from level 30 Wildy is good. And so as far as how to get out, if I wanted to approach it, it is in the northeastern part of the wilderness, up here near this little like lava island. The way I'm going to be taking is an Anacarl teleport that you can take after completing Desert Treasure. If you have the Wilderness Elite done, you can teleport there via Wilderness Sword over here. You can make a Waka over here and go to the east. You could Rev Cave teleport and then run east, or you can Corp Cave tele and then run northeast up to here. So a lot of different routes here. Inventory is basically everything you're going to want. The only thing I'm not bringing is vulnerability spells. That's a spell right here that can be cast with souls, waters, and earths that lowers Callisto's defense a little bit. I've never really brought it when I go here, but if you're into that, go ahead, only cast it once per kill and you'll be good. So I'm going to head out there via Anacarl Telly, and I will get back when I get to the lure spot. Back by the lure with a bunch of ground markers around me. I will explain them. I'm also on the client Runelight in case anyone's wondering. turn on ground markers, and you can shift click and mark tiles like so, and unmark tiles. The first tile we have marked behind this tree. This is where you're going to originally lure Callisto. You're going to wait here for a few seconds. You can run around this rock either way, but I go this way. This marked spot right here is the tile that marks where it goes over to multi. So just right there, multi, here, singles. I just have that for myself, of course, to get away from PKers. And then these two bottom spots are going to be the ones that you want to really focus on. Just one to the northwest of this little rock pile, and the open spot that's in between these rocks right here. What you're going to be doing once you come down to this spot is you're going to click on your north looking camera and zoom out as much as you can. From there you can see this tree stump and these bones. Callisto will at some point run through here, and once he goes between these, you're just going to want to move to the east a little bit and then run north, and he will be lured. I will show you guys how to do this, but even if you mess it up a few times, it's not that painful because you can just run back and he'll re-aggro and you can try it again. So it's honestly a very forgiving lure compared to most lures that I've tried. But for getting one, we'll put our bow on long range, throw the magic prayer on, and yeah, shoot at Callisto. We're going to want to run back over here behind this tree and wait just a few seconds. I'd rather be too late than too early. If you're too early, I feel like it messes up more often. So I'm going to wait a few. With Rune Light, you got a lot of timers usually, so you can kind of count it. Running around here, though, we're going to go to the south spot that is marked down here. Click on it, and then just face north on our camera and wait for Callisto to come by. Once he's between the stump and the bones, we're going to run to the east. Sometimes he'll get an attack in, sometimes he won't. There, he did not. Sometimes you may get attacked, and if he ever hurls the attack at you that sends you flying backwards, this spot is really useful to the west of these rocks because it will send you flying into the rocks and you won't get thrown out of his range, because if you do get thrown out, he'll probably start to run backwards and you have to go catch him again. If you run up against rocks, you'll be fine. And usually, you'll be good to go. This is also in singles, which is the great thing about this lure, that you're just not at as much risk as you normally would be. The north spots are quite rough, and honestly, the northern melee spots are a lot harder to lure. This one's very easy in my experience out here, so go ahead and pot up, and it's as easy as that. I mean, what I would pray is probably protect item and mage at all times. I just don't even want to bother with getting a 5-minute TB, so if you're praying mage, the TB is only 2.5 minutes if you didn't know, so if people teleport block you, you can just get away easier. So there's an example kill. Honestly, doesn't take too long. The luring and the running probably takes up 30% of the time you're out here, but it's pretty chill. So honestly, as far as killing Callisto, that's about it. It's as easy as luring him and then just standing there and slaughtering him for about 2 minutes. The hardest part for some people is going to be getting away from PKers. I don't find it all that crazy. One, because a Din's Bulwark is really, really useful. So if you have it and Black D'hide, please bring it. Even if you don't, though, there are some ways to get away. One thing that I kind of like doing, which is why I have this tile marked over here for multi, is I like to lure the PKer towards Callisto, and then Callisto will sometimes attack the PKer. So normally Callisto would be about right here, and if I run over here, the major whoever is probably going to run under Callisto and he can get attacked. If he gets attacked, I'm in singles, he's in combat, and I can log out. That's a very sneaky way I like to go about it if I think the PKer is incompetent and probably not have any chance to kill me. If a PKer looks like they know what they're doing, I'm just going to throw on my tank gear, pray mage, and throw on augury. Augury is really good for just getting away from PKers because most of the time they're going to try to freeze you to stop you. Anytime you get frozen, they're going to start to either range you or melee you for the most part, so focus those two, and I'd probably keep augury on unless you're good enough to start switching them. As you start to run south, I mean, really all you have to do is get down to level 30. It's 6-7 levels away, and if you have a teleport block, you should have enough food most of the time to be able to tank it, as long as you didn't get full TB'd. If you got full TB'd, it might be hard, 5 minutes out here in the wildy, especially with other teams coming, if that happens, is going to be tough. But once you get down here, you should be good. If you can teleport, go ahead. If you can't, I just keep running. I would run him down to Venenatus and basically do the same thing as Callisto. This is singles, so if Ven maybe saw them first instead of me, or even if he got in combat with me, I'd rather be in combat with Ven, just kind of messing with him than messing with PKers. And then he'll throw stuff out at them and kind of mess up them. And then as a last resort, if even Ven isn't saving you Callisto, you're TB'd still, you can come down here to Green Drags. If you really want to be safe out here, you can bring a super anti-fire dose, or potion I guess, and you can come out here and just box Green Dragons. I mean, there's so many around, there's about 10 that most of the PKers are going to get hit, and honestly, I rarely even have to box them. The boxing is nice if they're actually ready to attack you. A lot of the time, they'll just be in combat and you can log out because there's so many Green Dragons that they'll just start getting hit. If you're boxing them, don't do what I'm doing right now. Just pray mage, take your prayers off, and also brew down to very low stats. This isn't a good example because I already hit him a ton at 99, but if you brew down to, like, you know, level 10, level 20 of your offensive stats, you're not going to be hitting too much. So then you can be good to go. You can either wait them out or you can X-log if you know how to do that. It's basically just closing the client, and if the dragon has enough HP, you know, you're going to be fine. So, and also now I'll throw up on screen the little loot tab that I had from my Callisto adventures over a week's time. I got really lucky and got a ton of dragon pickaxes, and this was about 300 kills or so of Callisto. Honestly, it was a pretty good time. I maybe died once the whole week. I mean, if you know how to get away from the PKers, there are not a ton of them, and even if there are, like a Din's Bulwark in 2.5 minutes until you can teleport is just so easy. As far as my opinion on Callisto, I mean, it's not going to be the best boss in the game, but, you know, for a lot of people, it could be a very good option, and for me, it was one. So I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. Anything you want to tell me for future guides or just in general, let me know in a comment down below. And on top of that, if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. With that said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and see ya.